Hello, and thank you for joining me on this video on the Honeywell Web CIPer Model 50 support issue where serial ports fail to enable. My name is Frank Witmer, and I will walk you through some of the errors that come up and what to look for when this happens. I've gotten a few support calls and tickets on an issue with the CIPer50 where they would there are errors in trying to enable the serial port for the panel bus and or also for the BACnet networks. So I figure we could walk through that. And before we do, to get a little background on it with the platform services that shows the serial port service. On a standard JACE, if you look underneath the platform services, you'll see serial port service, and in there you'll find the ports that are available, the serial ports that are available to be used. And if you have a network already set up and enabled on one of these ports, it will tell you the owner, so you can always double check here as to what's using the COM ports. And also an important part is what the naming is of those ports, so that when you set up the link slot on that network, you use the right name. You'll see on the CIPer50, the bottom half here, the actual port names are RS485_1 or _2, as shown in the screenshot here. That's also a repetitive question that comes up when trying to set up the panel bus or setting up a BACnet port on the CIPer50. You have to use RS485_1 or 2, not COM1, COM2. And also the serial port service is named slightly different than in a standard JACE. You'll see that it's serial port platform service NPS-DK. Now, with this issue that comes up periodically, it's something that I have not been able to come up with what the cause is or how it gets to this state, but I'll walk through some of the errors. Now, if you have a CIPer50 that you are working with and are unable to start up your panel bus, these are some of the errors that you might see. The first one here comes up and says that the RS485 port cannot lock for the panel bus port. Another is that it says that it can't open and configure the port and unable to start the port, and then also can't, another one here is where it also can't open the port. If it's a BACnet network and you're using the serial port, you'll get an error like this, this fault here, indicating that there's a problem. Now, where do you look when you have a problem like that? First place you should always check is the platform services serial port service. From in there, as I mentioned earlier, you can see who the owner is for that port. So it's a good way of double checking to make sure the right owner is with the right port. And then the other question is whether or not that port exists at all, or you should say, yeah, the serial port exists at all. And in the case here, you'll see where there is no serial port service. And that in itself is the problem for the topic that we have today. The fix for that, it's a simple fix, but somehow in commissioning the CIPer50, the platform serial jar file is not installed. It's plat serial npsdk-rt.jar. That's the module that is missing. And what you would do is you're going to go into your software manager, find that module, and tell it to install. Once you install it and then you reboot the JACE or you reboot the CIPer50, you will find underneath the platform services, you'll find the serial port service in there. And if it's set up properly, it'll show you both ports and also who has ownership. And in my case here, I have a BACnet MSDP on the RS485-1 and panel bus on RS485-2. So the way that typically works out is when you're working with the Eagle, and here's a station I have configured and running, where if we go to services, and as I mentioned, you go under platform services, and that serial port platform service that comes up, in there is where you're going to look and see what's going on. In my case here, I have a station with no networks yet on this CIPer50, but just to give you an idea where to look, this is the location. And with that, that covers this topic of a missing serial port, if you want to call it that, with the CIPer50, and the fix is to install this specific platform serial jar file. That's it for today, and thank you for your time.